I had a eventful day today. So, I took my daughter out for sushi. We walked to the restaurant. We took a lift back. So on the way there, we were walking across the street from a store, like a deli type store, and this random guy was outside, and he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Hey, how you doing? Have a great day." He said, "You too." So my daughter's looking at me like, "Do you know him?" And I said, "No, I'm one of God's chosen, and so is he, and it's just a respect thing. He's just saying hello." And we talked about some of the things that go on in families and why he looked and sounded the way he did, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Right? We get there, we sit down, and I noticed that there's a mermaid motif. Like, it's just like a statuesque mermaid. So I feel like that was a symbol, a sign, a synchronicity, just saying I'm doing the right thing, I'm going with the flow. Just thought of Finding Nemo, just keep swimming. So we have lunch, we have a good time, we talk, call a lift, we get in. The woman is on 8, not 10, I'll say she was on 8. She was saying how she's supposed to get priority. They didn't give her a call that was in her vicinity. They actually gave it to a driver that was further away. She's been driving for 10 years. She tired of them. And I'm just letting her talk. And then she starts saying how she picked up a few younger guys, right? She called them kids. And she said that one of them got in there and he was smoking a blunt. The other one was rolling a blunt and crushed up some Xannies, her words, Xannies, and gave them, put them in the blunt and rolled up in her car. And she asked him not to, and he basically told her she can't tell him what to do, and that she needs to respect him. He told her that she needs to respect him, and she was like, well, we rate the passengers and I can rate you low. And then she said, she thought about it and she stopped talking. What if these kids rob me? What if they beat me up? What if they take my car? So even though she's not doing anything wrong, she can't speak freely. And this is not about male or female, because the same situation would occur if there were several females in the car. They could rob her. They could, beat her up and assault her as well. It's just the principle that she doesn't have the freedom in her own vehicle, whether she's driving for Lyft or not, to say, you're doing something that's illegal, you're doing something that's inappropriate, you're doing something that's not okay for me to see or have happen in my vehicle. And her primary concern really was, you're going to have my car smelling like marijuana. And if my car smells like marijuana, people are going to think that it's me, and then that affects my ability to do my job. This is her job. So we started talking about how some kids are not being raised properly. She was like, you're supposed to honor thy mother and thy father. And I am a strong advocate for mutual respect. Some kids don't have parents. That's it. Like, some kids don't have parents. Some people are their kids' friends. Some people are their providers. But a lot of them don't have nurturing. You have parents, which was the next part of our conversation, smoking weed with kids, giving kids prescription medication, using other drugs with their children, allowing their friends, their children's friends, to use drugs in their presence or in their homes. So it made me think of the song Self-Destruction. We have a big issue. This is a societal issue. This is not just in urban areas. This is not just with young people. This is a problem across the board. So she was saying she didn't want to say something in front of my daughter. She said, I respect people's children. I said, I'm a therapist. I'm very open with my daughter. So she was saying how she was talking to a friend of hers, and a friend of the friend gave her daughter Xanax for her birthday present, and how that was inappropriate. And, we started talking about that. And then I said, I'm a therapist. I'm very honest with her. I just said that. But she started telling me about, something within her family, and we had a good conversation. And, she was asking me, she said she didn't know the difference between a therapist and a psychiatrist. She thought they did the same thing. She's proud of her daughter for getting the son help. And I was explaining how people of color and people struggle with those big feelings that kids feel. That kids do feel depressed, that kids do experience suicidal ideation, and unfortunately some of them gesture, and some of them are successful, So we had a good conversation. He said, before you get out, can I ask you one thing? My grandson was in school, and he was saying that he had to walk out because he just couldn't communicate. Like, he couldn't identify his emotions. And she was like, is that normal? And I said, absolutely. She was like, I feel like he just couldn't find the words. I said, and that's exactly what it is. Look at you knowing the answer. So I said all of that to give you the backstory. The purpose of this post is sometimes and that's not a color issue, it could be a class issue, it could just be, we look at professionals as authority figures, and they are. But you are an authority on your child. You are an authority figure when it comes to your family, not in a bossy control way, in a I know what my child needs way. I can advocate for my child. If I'm not okay with something, I'm not going to agree with it just because a doctor said. This is taking me back years ago. I'm about to be 45. When I was 26, I worked with a client. He was getting into trouble. He was being arrested. He was 11 years old. He was actually being arrested because back then we weren't trauma informed in New Jersey. And we sent kids to detention before they had a point system. And he had been twice, I believe, when I started working with him. His mother took him to the doctor. She said they prescribed him with a medication. I asked what was it. She couldn't pronounce it. She spelled it. It was Abilify. She's going to give her son a medication she could not pronounce. Now, this is all an assumption, right? To me, nobody explained to her what the medication was. Nobody said the name to her because she couldn't pronounce it. She didn't know what it was. If I point to something on a piece of paper, even a person who can't read will say, that's Abilify. Amber told me that word. She was going to give it to him because the doctor said it. That's what I'm talking about. The doctor said, but what do you say? Sometimes we are allowing things that shouldn't be allowed. So I gave this grandmother props. I told her I was proud of her, and I told her, tell your daughter you had a therapist in the car today and you doing the right thing. Because she said my daughter sometimes don't know how to console my grandson. She don't know what to say. She just hugs him. I said, and she doing more than a lot of people do. And the grandmother said something I've been saying. She was like, it's like people just expect him to suck it up because he's a boy. And I've been saying that to all my clients. Boys, men still get neglected when it comes to them being emotional and being sensitive. Stop punching boys in the chest and telling them suck it up. Life is hard. It fucking sucks sometimes. And it's even worse when things are happening that are beyond your control and all you're doing is the human thing, which is to respond to your environment. We have to teach these kids. We have to teach some adults. We have to teach ourselves how to recognize unhealthy patterns and behavior and how to assess and address. So again, this is a almost 8-minute video, and I know everybody's not going to watch it to the end, but for the people who do, I thank you, and I hope that it helps you. And please comment or inbox me and tell me things that you would like to see me talk about, because like I said, I want to be a voice for our people. All of the boxes that I check as a woman, as a clinician, as a single parent, as a trauma survivor, I want you to know that peace is possible. I want you to know that I believe that we should get back to being a village, being a community that loves and supports each other, not just beats the hell out of each other verbally or physically. So please have a good day. Please make good choices, and please take care of yourself today. Thank you.